Shocking truth, the Vatican's dark secret exorcisms, and I'm the cleanup crew at 3 a.m. The clock struck 3, a witching hour when shadows stretched longer than reality itself. Beneath the solemn arches of the Vatican, secrets festered. The air hummed with a tension so thick, you could cut it with a knife. This was no ordinary night, these were no ordinary exorcisms. The deep, guttural cries echoed off the stone walls, sending chills racing down the spines of the sanctified. What dwelled within those aged walls was beyond comprehension, defying any fairy tale horror. But there I was, a humble cleanup crew armed only with a mop and a heart racing with dread. Every damp corner whispered tales of the macabre. An image of a woman, her face twisted in agony, flashed through my mind. She had once been a mother, but now? A vessel for something dark, something ancient. Just hours earlier, I had watched as 4 priests struggled against her, drenched in sweat and fear, their prayers barely piercing the thick veil of evil surrounding her. My hands trembled as I prepared to step further into the dim hallway, where flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the stone floors. And there, just under the dim glow, lay remnants of a battle fought. Crimson stains marred the floor, the kind that made your stomach twist and your heart pound. No one was speaking, but the whispers of past tragedies echoed louder than the priest's prayers. I could feel it, the weight of every soul trapped in that space, begging for liberation while something sinister willed them to stay. Why was I there? Was I merely witnessing the aftermath, or was there something more sinister that wanted me to? It felt like the very walls were alive, watching me, waiting for me to grab hold of the mop and turn away from the truth lurking just out of reach. Suddenly, I caught movements in the corner of my eye. My breath caught. A shadow flitted past, too swift to be human, too dark to be benign. Goosebumps danced across my skin as the fear clawed at my chest. I was not alone. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The darkness seemed to swell as I felt something brush against my shoulder, a whisper of breath that froze my blood. I spun around, heart racing. No one was there. Just the hollow echo of my own panicked thoughts. Was it just my imagination? Or had I genuinely stirred the presence that prowled these haunted halls? I needed answers. I needed to uncover the truth behind these exorcisms. What horrors were packed away in the corners of this holy fortress? As my mind raced, I heard it again, a faint, chilling laugh that seemed to ripple through the air like a taunt. I took a deep breath, ready to confront the shadows. Yet, in that instant, it all went dark. What awaited me on the other side of the darkness? What would those chilling shadows reveal? I blinked, trying to chase away the suffocating darkness that enveloped me. My heart raced, each beat echoing in my ears like a war drum. I felt like I had just stepped into another dimension, the air tasted stale, and an unsettling chill wrapped around me. The abrupt silence amplified my pulse, making the shadows dance more ominously. Out of nowhere, a low growl resonated from the depths of the corridor, cold and heavy. It sent a wave of ice-cold dread coursing through me. I glanced to my right, then to my left. The hallway stretched endlessly, taunting me with its obscure dimensions. My fingers brushed against the cool stone wall, grounding me only slightly as I felt the ripples of fear wash over me. What could possibly be lurking beneath the surface, just past my vision? Get a grip, I muttered to myself, my voice trembling as I clutched the mop like a weapon. Yet, every rational thought was quickly drowned by an overpowering urge to run. What had I stumbled into? As I hesitated, contemplating either retreat or confrontation, the growl morphed into laughter, cuddled, mocking, bone-chilling laughter that echoed through the stone chambers like a cruel trick. I pressed on, each step heavy with uncertainty. The flickering lights distorted shadows that moved with a life of their own, swaying, calling, consuming. I suddenly remembered the woman, her tormented cry still haunting me. No matter how desperately I tried to shake it off, the image of her twisted expression had imprinted on my mind, echoing my own inner turmoil. As the light sparked erratically, I caught a glimpse of something, the shimmer of silver just at the end of the hall. An object lay there. I hesitated, each instinct screaming to turn back, but curiosity gnawed at me, urging me forward toward that mysterious gleam. I approached with a mix of dread and determination, the mop dragging across the floor. As I neared, clarity struck: an ornate silver crucifix. But there was an unsettling detail: it was encrusted with something that gleamed far too dark to be benign. The blood-red gems seemed unholy, each facet glinting like eyes watching me, daring me to touch it. Before I could react, a shadow loomed over me. I spun around, my breath catching as I faced a figure, draped in a cloak darker than coal. Its features were obscured, but the malevolence radiated from it like heat from a furnace. "Not everyone lives," it whispered, its voice smooth yet saturated with sinister power. I felt a cold sweat bead on my forehead. Was it talking about the souls trapped in this dismal void? Or was there a darker implication? A surge of instinct propelled me back, but my foot slipped on the wet floor, and I found myself tumbling backward, the crucifix slipping from my grasp. I braced for impact, but instead of hitting the floor, a square of darkness opened beneath me, engulfing me whole. Down I fell, spiraling in a chaotic descent before landing hard, the shock jolting through every limb. I couldn't see anything, only a perfect void, yet all around me, the laughter continued, mocking and omniscient. What was happening? Where was I? A soft glow began to materialize in front of me, illuminating a path that seemed too perfect amidst the chaos. Curiosity piqued again as I maneuvered toward the light, each step brimming with uncertainty. The laughter faded into whispers, and for a fleeting moment, I felt a sense of hope, the chance for answers perhaps. But the whispers were not just echoes of fear, they were resonant pleas, warning me of something lurking beyond the blinding glow. Was I walking toward salvation, or was I stepping straight into the heart of darkness? In that moment, I paused, doubt flooding my mind. Should I press on, or was this a choice that would lead to my doom? The echoes of laughter returned, louder and more menacing. With bated breath, I took a step forward. What awaited me in the light? Would I discover the truth or face the darkness that beckoned? The light grew brighter, so intense it felt like a pulse all its own. It wasn't just illumination, it was a force that pulled me, beckoned me closer. The whispers surrounded me, a cacophony of lost souls pleading for release, each one layered with a pain that clawed at my heart. I wanted to turn back, to escape the orbit of this alien glow, but my feet moved against my will, drawn like a moth to a flame. As I stepped into the light, the air shifted. The stale, damp stone was replaced by a warm breeze that smelled of incense and something sweet, something comforting, but I couldn't let it distract me from what was lurking beyond the glimmer. I found myself in a cavernous chamber, miles away from the corridor that had swallowed me. The ornate walls glimmered, reflecting the light with an unsettling intensity. In the center of the room stood an altar adorned with more crucifixes, each one like the first, adorned with blood-red gems, but each twinkled as if they housed lives within them. My stomach twisted. What were they? The warmth that had enveloped me seemed to drain away. I moved instinctively towards the closest one, the pulsing light turning my fear into a sick curiosity. "Stop!" A voice rang out, sharp and echoing through the chamber. I stumbled back, heart racing, and turned to face the source. A woman stood there, a figure garbed in a flowing white gown that glimmered with the same light I had just encountered. She had an expression that blended both dread and urgency, eyes wide and pleading. "Don't touch them," she said, and I noticed how her voice trembled, hints of desperation creeping into her tone. "They bond to souls. They extract pain and twist it. You don't want to be part of that." "Who are you?" I managed to choke out, fear stripping the confidence from my voice. "They call me the keeper," she replied, stepping closer. "This place is a prison and a sanctuary. You don't belong here." My mind raced. What did that mean? I felt something looming behind me, a heavy presence. I turned slightly. Shadows crouched in the corners of the room, slithering like snakes, skimming the edges of the light. "Stay back," the keeper yelled, raising her arms as if she could shield me from the encroaching dark. "It wants you. It needs souls to feed its power." Panic surged through my veins, pulse quickening to a staccato rhythm. I took a step back, grappling with the enormity of it all. "Feed? Who? What is it?" But the keeper's warning came too late. A hideous shape materialized behind me, cloaked in tendrils of shadow that spiraled upward like smoke. The silhouette was grotesque, fluid, an embodiment of terror. It curled and twisted, transforming into something more human-like, but each movement carried a horrific grace that made my skin crawl. "It knows your past," the figure hissed, its voice scratching at the edges of my sanity. "It craves your memories. It can't wait to devour your soul." The walls seemed to close in, the laughter returning, echoing off the stone with renewed ferocity. I glanced at the keeper, panic wide-eyed, desperate. What do I do? How do I escape? But the shadows lunged gaping, ravenous mouths opening wide before me. With adrenaline pumping, a surge of instinct kicked in, and I ripped myself free from the grip of fear. I had to run, to fight, to scream. But where was the exit? The keeper's voice cut through the chaos. "Trust the light. Use your pain against it." I glanced back at her, uncertainty clawing at my insides. Could I trust her? Was the light the key, or another trap? As the shadows surged toward me, I had one choice to make: dive into the brilliance and confront whatever lay beyond. What if it could lead me back, or would it consume me? With every ounce of strength, I lunged toward the light, but would I find salvation or destruction? I plunged into the light, enveloped by its warmth. For a split second, I felt a serene calm wash over me, like a mother's embrace after a long absence. The shadows shrieked behind, their howls morphing into something akin to despair. I closed my eyes, allowing myself to float in this radiant void, but soon panic crashed back over me like a tidal wave. When I opened my eyes again, the chamber had transformed. It was no longer the grotesque altar room filled with twisted skeletal figures. Instead, I found myself standing on a vibrant field of wildflowers under a dizzying blue sky. The scent of earth and fresh blossoms soothed my frayed nerves. Had the keeper's light delivered me into a realm of peace? But then I saw my surroundings shift like a film reel warping with static. The flowers wilted, petals blowing away like confetti in a storm. The sky darkened, and the horizon bled into countless shades of red and black. It was a canvas of chaos, an artist's bad dream rendered tangible. "Welcome back," hissed the familiar voice. The form from the shadows reappeared, but now it was less menacing and more tangible, wrapping around me like a predator sizing up its prey. "You thought you could escape." I stumbled back, heart racing, my breath quickening. "What do you want from me?" The words stumbled out, wavering. "Your pain, sweet one. You carry it like a lantern in the dark. Let me taste it." My hands quivered. I could feel their darkness creeping back in, tendrils snaking around my wrist, cold and biting. "No. You want it? Take me." A wave of fury surged within me. The keeper's words floated back: "Use your pain against it." In an instinctual response, I reached deep into my core, pressing against all the memories that stacked like corpses, each betrayal, heartbreak, and regret. And suddenly, I found a flicker of the light I had just escaped. "Take this," I shouted, channeling every ounce of anguish and frustration into a single thought headlined by all the things I had carried for too long. The moment my pain surged outward, the shadows shrieked, recoiling as if struck. The air thickened with crackling tension, the dark figure twisted, trying to maintain its form, but my memories unleashed a turbulent storm, waves of light clashing against the overwhelming darkness. It was raw, it was visceral. I could feel the weight of my past combating the horrors it brought to life. "What are you doing?" it screeched, thrashing violently. "You think you can control what has haunted you? I won't let you claim me," I yelled, releasing my memories further. With the shadows riding, a piercing light erupted around me. It shimmered like shattered glass before bursting with brilliance, blinding me for a heartbeat. I sensed the connection. I was the light, the very essence of resilience, but just as swiftly as it ignited, everything shifted. The ground trembled beneath me, and the shadows were regrouping, more furious than ever. They swelled, their voices merging into a single thunderous cacophony. "You cannot run from your past. Embrace it. Be consumed." As my surroundings began crumbling away, panicking, I searched for that luminous escape. Would I become trapped in the very darkness I was fighting? No. I screamed with defiance, clutching onto the light, willing it to grow stronger. But everything was sleeping. I had to make a choice: stay and confront the abyss, or plunge into the chaotic unknown of the light once more. In that final moment, I leapt toward the glimmer, surrendering to its promise, praying it would lead me home or to my ultimate demise. What awaited me on the other side? The light enveloped me, swallowing every fear, every dark tendril that threatened to ensnare me in its chilling grip. For a split second, I felt like I was being reborn, the weight of my anguish floating away on soft whispers. But as quickly as it came, the comfort dissolved. I was no longer just lost, I was in freefall, spiraling deeper into the unknown. With a sudden thud, I landed on cold stone. The air was thick with decay, suffocating my senses. The sweet fragrance of flowers replaced by the acrid stench of mold and remnants of ancient sacrifices. I pushed myself up, my heart pounding in my chest. "Welcome to your past," the voice echoed, a taunting shadow punctuating the darkness around me. I turned, and the form emerged again, more form this time, like smoke weaving through a narrow alley, slippery, elusive. "You thought you could escape me, but you were merely delaying the inevitable." Tremors shivered through my body as I faced this entity, my breath hitching in my throat. "I will beat you," I shot back, the determination hardening my resolve. "Beat me." It laughed, a guttural sound that rattled through the chamber. "You are filled with self-doubt, regret. You think you can conquer the past. You are but a child playing with matches." The shadows thickened, swirling around me. They reached out like crooked fingers, curling around my skin, chilling me to the bone. I felt memories clawing at the surface: embarrassments, failures, every taunt and betrayal. It was suffocating, and for a moment, I felt the tears prick my eyes. "No, not again," I whispered, clenching my fist. This was the moment I had to fight back. The keeper had shown me the light. It was time to use that knowledge. Drawing on the cataclysm of emotions: fear, shame, but also a flicker of anger, I focused. The shadows lunged, but this time I was ready. "You are a part of me, but you do not define me," I screamed, forcing my pain outward like a shockwave. In an instant, flashes of my life ignited behind my closed eyelids: my first bike ride, the warmth of my mother's arms, the laughter of friends. Each memory brightened the flickering light inside me, igniting a fire that banished the encroaching shadows. The force pushed into the dark creature, making it stumble back, howling. "What are you doing?" It twisted, as if my pain had become a lethal weapon. "You'll pay for this." A wave of heat surged through me as the light requited my memories, releasing my burden. I was unleashing everything I had bottled up, everything that had haunted me. The shadows shuddered violently, and for a brief moment, I caught a glimpse of its fear, pure and palpable, but even as I saw it, the darkness reformed, clawing its way back. "You think a moment of strength can save you?" it screeched, the cacophony thickening. "You cannot fight what is already inside." Inside. I gasped, an unsettling truth dawning on me. If the shadows thrived on my pain, then maybe I had to face the very source. I felt a certainty swell within me. It wasn't about suppressing my past, but facing it head-on. The ground trembled again, shaking with palpable rage, and I understood. I had to confront the memories that had turned to poison, but as I took a step forward, the very stone beneath me began to crack, fissures spreading like lightning. The shadows grew frantic, hissing and swirling, desperate to keep me from that confrontation. Embrace darkness. It shrieked, its cry losing coherence as the chamber began folding in on itself, a vortex pulling me down. Before I was swallowed, I realized this was my choice. Face the abyss of my memories or be consumed by the very nightmares I fought. With a roar that echoed through the chamber, I lunged toward the swirling mass, determined to reclaim my truth. What would happen when I faced the darkness within? I felt the air around me twist and warp, like a storm bending reality to its will. The shadows clawed at my skin, urging me to reconsider, to retreat into the safety of ignorance. But the intensity of my memories burned brighter, and with every heartbeat, I reminded myself that I had to do this. The entity's laughter echoed through the chamber, mocking me as I surged forward. Foolish child, it bellowed, the ground vibrating under its anger. You want to reclaim your truth? You're just feeding the darkness. I clenched my fist tighter. No. I'm reclaiming my life. With each word, I felt the memories forming a protective shield around me. I charged into the vortex, reaching for the center of that swirling chaos. It felt like a black hole trying to consume me, dragging me deeper into an abyss of shame. When I closed my eyes, I saw flashes of the past faces of friends I had pushed away, moments of weakness that had become anchors dragging me down. I felt their laughter, their warmth, and suddenly it hit me. Not all memories were shadows. Some were light, reminders of how far I had come, of the love I had once known. Remember the joy, I whispered to myself, even as I was stretched thin. The words seemed to resonate, sending ripples through the swirling mass. The entity screamed again, this time with more urgency, its grip tightening as I felt the light within burst alive. You cannot escape, this is who you are. This is your legacy. A spirit of rebellion ignited within me. No. I write my own legacy. I reached into the heart of the storm. A vibrant light paused beneath the chaos, and I grasped it, feeling its warmth seep into my being. Suddenly, I was pulled into a vision. I stood in front of a mirror, the figure reflecting back was a pale shadow of my true self. Tears filled my eyes as I recognized the person I had become, defeated, terrified, lost. Then, something shifted. I saw the face of my mother, vibrant and smiling, as she enveloped me in her arms. You are enough, she whispered. Every ounce of love flowed through me, flooding the chamber. With a roar, I shot forth into the heart of the shadows, squeezing that three-word truth. I am enough. At once, the storm exploded. Light burst from within me, illuminating the entire chamber, chasing away the shadows that had once wrapped around me like chains. They writhed and twisted, shrieking in anguish as the warmth consumed them. The walls were pulsating gold, and every flicker of darkness tried desperately to cling to existence, but it was losing the battle. Feel that. That is freedom. I cried, the words empowered by the truth of conscious choice. But just then, the darkness coalesced into a form I hadn't expected, my own silhouette, a twisted version of me, eyes filled with rage. You think you've won? It hissed, the bitterness palpable. This is just the beginning. The figure lunged, and instinctively, I braced myself, but as I perceived its form, a sudden realization dawned on me. It wasn't separate from me, it was the part one had denied. My fight wasn't over. Fear and adrenaline surged once more, propelling me to confront this dark version of myself, the reflection I had turned away from for too long. Face me. I yelled. You are me, and I am you. As the shadows threatened to twist back around me, a question loomed large, echoing through the luminescence. Could I reconcile with the deep remnant of my pain, even as it took form before me? The moment was fragile, teetering on the brink of understanding or oblivion. What awaited me as I faced this ultimate reflection? The twisted version lunged at me, its shadowy hands grasping for my throat. Panic gripped my heart, and I stumbled back, the radiant light within me flickering uncertainly. In that second, I remembered the warmth of my mother's embrace, the gentle strength I now needed to summon for myself. "Stop!" I cried, my voice cracking but laced with defiance. "You will not control me any longer." The dark silhouette hesitated, confusion flickering across its features. It was as if a thread of realization tugged at its edges, a shared struggle, a mirrored pain. I steeled my resolve. This wasn't just a monster. This was my fear, my shame, my suffering made flesh. I had to face it, to embrace it. "Why are you so angry?" I asked, my voice quaking as I stepped closer. "What do you want from me?" Its smirk twisted into a snarl. "You think you can speak to me? You think I reveal myself just like that?" "But you are me," I insisted, heart pounding. "You represent everything I've hidden away, the darkness I've tried to forget. You think I would fight you? I want to understand." Something shifted in its expression. The rage began to falter, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through the surface. "You want understanding? You think it's that simple?" "I know it's not," I admitted, feeling the weight of my own confession sink into the stillness. "I'm scared. I'm scared of you, and I'm scared of what you represent. But I would rather confront this than continue running. We can become whole." The air thickened with tension as the dark figure paused, its features trembling, almost wavering. "You think love will heal this?" "Not just love," I replied. "Acceptance. Forgiveness. It's better than drowning in the past." "Pathetic." It grated, but the anger was almost a whisper now, trembling with uncertainty. As I extended my hand, shadows danced around us, eager to pull me back into the void. But this time, I stood firm. "I can choose to embrace it." The shadows swirled more violently, as if protesting my defiance. "You will never be free. You will always be haunted by your choices." I felt a wave of understanding wash over me, drowning out the rage. "Then let me be haunted. Let me face the ghost. I will not let you chain me any longer. You are part of my story." With a deep breath, I closed the distance between us. Our hands nearly touched, light meeting darkness, fear confronting its creator. A surge coursed through me, a tingling warmth wrapping around my heart. Then, without warning, the darkness struck sharp and punctuated. Just as the silhouettes were on the verge of colliding, I felt an invisible force launch me backward. The light inside me flared, fighting to keep the shadows at bay. "No!" I shouted as my back hit the cool stone floor, the contact sending shockwaves through me. The chamber echoed my voice, trembling under the weight of my fury. The dark figure loomed over me, its expression contorting into furious glee. "See? This is what you are made of. Nothing but fear and despair." I felt it then, the weight of every choice I had made, the haunting memories I so desperately tried to escape. But as I lay there, breathing heavily, I recalled the faces of those who had loved me, the moments of laughter that had brightened my darkest days. Hope flickered like a candle fighting against the night. "Maybe," I gasped, "but I also hold the power to transform it. I've lived in that fear long enough." As I forced myself back to my feet, the air shifted. A crack of inner strength surged through me, igniting the light inside once more. I felt the connection deepen, not just with my pain, but with the understanding that I could rise from it. "Who are you really?" I asked, my voice firm yet gentle. "What do you need from me?" A silence fell, heavy with anticipation. The shadows grew still, and the dark figure seemed to hesitate, as if caught in my gaze. Maybe I am your guilt," it murmured, the anger draining from its voice. "Then let us confront that guilt together," I urged, reaching out slowly. You don't have to be alone anymore. But just as I felt hope crack in the darkness, a rumbling sound shattered the stillness, shaking the very ground beneath my feet. The walls began to close in, the reality around me warping and bending. Join me or be consumed by the darkness. The figure howled, a cacophony of spices forming chaos. Had I reached it? Or had I merely awakened something more sinister? Everything around me quaked, and a sudden rush of dark tendrils lunged forward, surging toward me like a tidal wave. As I braced for impact, a chilling thought pierced my mind: what if this was the ultimate test? Was I finally ready to embrace my truth, or was I falling into a trap I could never escape? The dark tendrils lashed out, wrapping around me like icy vines, squeezing the breath from my lungs. A scream clawed at my throat, but no sound escaped. Instead, I felt an overwhelming rush of despair crash over me. I fought against it, the light within me flickering against the suffocating darkness. This isn't over. I yelled in defiance, forcing my arms upward in a futile attempt to ward off the shadows. Their grip tightened, pulling me deeper into the darkness' cold embrace. With every second, I felt my resolve waver. Images flashed through my mind. Memories I had buried deep: my childhood laughter, days spent in innocent wonder, my mother's warm touch. They were swiftly drowned by the tides of regret and self-loathing. "You're nothing. You always mess things up." The shadow taunted, whispering my deepest insecurities back at me. Each word was like a dagger, cutting deeper into my spirit, but then I remembered my mother's voice, soothing and steady. "You have to face your fears, sweetheart. You have to own your story." I summoned that warmth, that strength, as the shadows hesitated just for a moment. If this was my guilt, then it was time to confront it. "I'm not afraid of you anymore," I declared, pointing at the darkness enveloping me. With every ounce of willpower, I forced my hand toward the figure's heart, a pulse of brilliant light radiating from my palm. The shadows shrieked as I made contact. "You can't hold me." I pushed through the agony. "You don't define me." The darkness recoiled, and for a split second, the air cleared. The chamber around us revealed its jagged edges and cold stone, the ominous shadows recoiling like snakes pulled from the light. My heart raced. This was the moment: either freedom or an unending descent into chaos. But then, the ground beneath me trembled violently. With a deafening crack, the chamber shifted, and I struggled to maintain my balance. Dark tendrils surged, mixing with shards of stone as the very walls began to crumble. "You think you can escape?" The figure howled, now a swirling mass of anger and pain. My eyes widened in horror as the darkness began to engulf the crumbling walls. "This place is coming down." Panic surged through me as I scrambled to find my footing, fear clawing at my heart. "Then we'll bring it down together," I shouted, feeling a surge of strength surge through me. With the last of my resolve, I pulled the light from deep within, weaving through the remnants of my past until it surged forth in an explosion of radiant energy. "Let go of what no longer serves you." I let loose all my fears, all my shame, all my guilt, channeling them into the blinding light bursting from my chest. It collided with the darkness, the two forces struggling for dominance. The chamber erupted in blinding brilliance, shadows screaming against the luminous wave. I felt myself lifted, soaring over the chaos, the tendrils retreating and then vanishing, and in that moment, I understood this was a transformation, not an end. A path to healing I had only begun to walk. But then, a chilling stillness enveloped me. My breath hung in the air, momentarily suspended. The room was quiet, the shadows dissolved into nothingness. As I took a cautious step forward, the final remnants of the figure flickered like a dying flame. "You may have won the battle," it rasped, voice fading, "but the war is far from over." Suddenly, I felt a peculiar vibration ripple through the floor and an echoing whisper: "The truth is darker than you think." My pulse quickened. What truth? What more lay hidden in the depths? Trapped now between fear and newfound strength, I gazed into the shadows swirling at my feet, realizing the nightmare was not behind me. It was just beginning. I was still trembling from the intensity of that otherworldly encounter when I heard a distant rumble echoing through the chamber. I looked up, heart racing. Despite the darkness having receded, the air spoke of danger. Something deeper hovered just beyond my grasp, breathing, watching. Is this really over? I whispered to myself. I felt the walls pulse, the very stone resonating like a heartbeat. It intrigued me, yet terror gripped my throat. Had I truly vanquished the darkness, or had I merely unsettled it? The tension in the room thickened, wrapping around me like a fog, barely pierced by the faint gleam of my lingering light. Suddenly, the gleam flickered, and a shadow took form in a corner of my vision, a silhouette with no discernible features. I turned to face it, a shiver cascading down my spine. The shadow morphed slowly, revealing a face that bore a striking resemblance to my own. My breath caught, it mirrored my expression: confusion, fear, but also a strange amusement. "Oh, the brave little hero," it sneered, spreading a grin devoid of warmth. "How noble to think you can break free without consequences." Hot fury surged through me. "You're not real. You're just another fragment of my fear." "Am I?" It stepped into the faint light, its eyes glinting with something dark and sinister. "I am what you refuse to acknowledge. The shadows cast by your very actions. I am your darkness made flesh." I took a step back, heart thudding in my chest. My own guilt, my overwhelming regrets, they were here, standing before me. "No. I am more than the mistakes I've made." It laughed, a chilling sound that echoed off the walls. "Are you? Have you ever looked inside? Stared into the abyss of your own choices? Each one a misstep, a failure. The V brought you here." The chamber trembled again, sending more dust raining down. I gripped my heart, the sense of dread coiling tighter around me. I felt as if I were drowning in a whirlpool of memories pulling me under, the friends I had betrayed, the chances I had squandered, the words left unspoken. "Face it," my shadowy twin bellowed. "The truth is, you're not healing. You're just running from yourself." My knees threatened to buckle. How could I stand against this twisted reflection that knew me so intimately? But then, a flicker of defiance surged within me, igniting the spark of light I thought had vanished. "You don't control me," I shouted, almost surprised by my own conviction. The smile slipped from my shadow's face, replaced by malevolence now. "You think you can banish me? We are one. Only by facing me can you find freedom. Until then, you will always carry this weight." "No!" I screamed out as I raised my hands, focused on the light emanating from my heart. "I won't let you haunt me any longer." The chamber erupted in a whirlwind of chaos, the edges of reality blurring as agony and light fought for dominance. The floor shook violently beneath me, and the shadows twisted and writhed, threatening to consume everything. I squeezed my eyes shut, pushed the light outward, and confronted my shadow. "I'll acknowledge you. But I will not be defined by you." An explosive wave of light surged through the chamber, battling against the biting cold of my darker self. There was a moment, a long pause of silent reckoning. When I finally dared to open my eyes, I saw my shadow shrink back, bellowing its last cries of despair as it dissolved into a wisp of smoke, but the joy of victory was short-lived. The ground trembled violently again, sending me sprawling against the stone wall. A deep rumble filled the air, a familiar whisper calling through the dust: "The truth is darker than you think, only just begun." I pushed myself up and gasped. What truth? What more horrifying secret lingered beneath it all? As the walls groaned with an ominous creaking, I realized this was more than an inner battle. The real test was waiting for me somewhere beyond the crumbling stone. "Get up," I told myself, heart pounding. "You can't back down now." And before I could catch my breath, the ground beneath me cracked wide open, revealing a dark abyss that beckoned with chilling promises. What would I find if I stepped into that void? As the gaping chasm widened, I felt the cold breath of despair creeping closer. The shadows clawed at the edges of the abyss, whispering harrowing tales of loss and regret, inviting me to surrender. Heart racing, I peered into the dark emptiness, where every fear I had ever faced swirled like a raging storm. My legs trembled, but deep inside, the light ignited again, a flicker of hope that fueled my resolve. Enough! I shouted, surprising myself with the strength in my voice. I will not be taken. The ground trembled under my feet, the abyss pulsating with angry energy. Stepping closer, I felt the warmth within me clashing against the cold dread emanating from the void. I would not be consumed, I would confront what lay within. With a determined leap, I plunged forward into the abyss, surrendering to the darkness. The sensation enveloped me, but instead of pulling me under, it transformed. I was no longer falling, I was soaring. Images rushed past, surfacing memories long buried. Faces I had lost flashed, the laughter of friends, moments filled with warmth and joy mingling with the haunting specters of regret. Each memory tugged at my heart, catching in my throat like bittersweet smoke. But they weren't just shadows, they were pieces of me I had cast aside. The realization struck me like a bolt of lightning. I wasn't here to deny my past but to reconcile with it. Embrace it, I whispered to myself as the memories glimmered like stars, illuminating the darkness around me. With each flickering light, I grasped the essence of my experiences weaved together by love and pain. The void began to tremble, an echo reflecting my awakening. I felt a tether pulling at my soul, intertwining with the enlightenment I had found. It's time to take back what is mine, I declared, unleashing the light inside me. I felt it surge, building momentum, pushing back against the chaos. As the incandescent glow radiated from my heart, I faced the swirling shadows, ready to confront every dark fragment. They writhed, hissing, but I stood firm, refusing to yield. You cannot scare me. You are not my destiny, I yelled, channeling the very essence of my existence. I had weathered storms of sorrow, painful betrayals, moments of weakness. These were not the marks of shame, but rather the colors on the canvas of my life. The shadows recoiled, twisting and contorting, their wrath escalating. You think you can paint your future without acknowledging us? They screeched, a cacophony of anger vibrating through the void. Yes. I can. I have to. I carry you with me, but you will not govern me. I shouted, summoning the fierce energy of my truth. The air crackled, a divine force mingling with the shadows. With renewed vigor, I reached into the depths of my pain, not to wallow, but to draw strength. Every heartbreak ignited flames of passion, every mistake solidified my determination. I resonated with authenticity, claiming each fragment as essential to my journey. In a whirlwind of light and darkness, something remarkable occurred. I began to transform their fury. The shadows dissipated, intertwining with the brilliant glow radiating from my spirit. Together then, I cried, uniting my shadows with the light I had discovered within. In a blinding flash, the darkness lifted, revealing a world beyond the void. A vast expanse sprawled before me. Wildflowers danced at my feet, the blue sky painted with endless possibilities. I stumbled forward, breathless, realizing I had emerged from the labyrinth of my own making. The keeper appeared at the horizon, her presence imbued with serenity. You have found strength, courage, and most importantly, you've learned to accept every facet of who you are. I couldn't help but smile, tears streaming down my face. I understand now. The journey never ends, but I will never walk alone again. The space around us shimmered with warmth, the blend of light and shadow intertwining harmoniously like a symphony. It felt like a promise, a call to continue evolving, learning, and reclaiming my power wherever I may go. As I turned to say goodbye to the remnants of my struggle, a final whisper floated on the breeze. The truth is lighter than you think, it echoed, but I understood its depth like never before. With a final glance at the horizon, I felt gratitude pulse through my core. Thank you, I murmured, before stepping into the embrace of the future, ready to face whatever came next. This was not merely an ending but a new beginning. That's it, folks. What a rollercoaster ride, right? If you felt even a fraction of what I felt sharing this story with you, I need you to do me a favor. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss any exclusive stories coming next. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and show your support. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this wild conclusion. And don't hesitate, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel inspired by this journey. This is the moment for you to shine and support a community that empowers each other. Don't wait even one more second.